So welcome everybody to the last session of the day. The quicker we get started, the faster you can start into the evening. Yes. Hello everybody, my name is Verena Sommerfeld. I'm the head of the language department of the central office of the Goethe-Institut here in Munich. And I would like to tell you a little bit about our organization. As you heard multiple times today already, this year the Goethe-Institut marks its 75th anniversary as Germany's official organization for cultural relations and educational cooperation. Over these 7.5 decades, the institution has developed into a globally operating network with a remarkable, stable, and at the same time highly differentiated profile. Today, the Goethe-Institut works across 3 closely connected fields of activity: the promotion of German as a foreign language, international cultural exchange, and the provision of information and dialogue about Germany, Europe, and global social issues. What is characteristic of the Goethe-Institut is that these 3 areas are not organized as isolated programs, but as a coherent institutional landscape. Language teaching, cultural work, and examination services mutually reinforce one another and derive their credibility from shared professional standards and long-term international partnerships. Within this broader framework, German language examinations play a specific and clearly defined role. They are not the dominant activity of the institution, but they are a structurally significant one. Exams provide measurable reference points, institutional trust, and formal recognition, both within Europe and far beyond. In my talk today, I would therefore like to offer an overview of the Goethe-Institut as it operates today and take a little bit a look into the 75 years of history. So, actually, yesterday was the start of our social media campaign with the new logo for our 75th anniversary. What a coincidence that I can show it today. As I just said, we have these 3 fields of work, and we started 1951 as an organization purely concerned with teaching German as a foreign language to people who moved to Germany at that time. After the war, we had a big shortage of labor in the country, and so waves of people, mostly from Southern Europe, came. And it became apparent, we don't have this as a skill to teach foreigners how to speak German. So the organization was founded and grew over time. In 1959, it was officially named Goethe-Institut. Every single one of the existing cultural institutions around the world, there were always, I would call them maybe fan clubs of Germany in different countries, and they were all united under the roof of the Goethe-Institut. And shortly after, in 1962, the first großes deutsches Sprachdiplom was created, which equals a C2 level today. In 1971, we began cooperating with the Deutscher Volkshochschulverband in connection with exams and still collaborate with them today. A next big marking point is the year 1989. Of course, the end of the Cold War was the moment in time to expand our presences into Eastern Europe and even further east into Central Asia. And this one I never really thought about, but we went online in 1995 with our first website. It seems late today, but it wasn't actually. In terms of exams, important marking point, 2007, a German law was passed that all spouses moving to Germany need to provide an A1 level in order to get their visa. This regulation is in place until today and makes up a small but very stable portion of our customers. In 2008, we had a further wave of expansion into the south, mostly into Africa and East Africa in particular. In 2012, we introduced our first modular certificate on the C2 level. And in 2019, we had our first digital exam. 5 years ago, the 70th anniversary, and 4 years ago, we founded a first co-location with the Institut Français, and there are a couple more underway, so we can combine our resources better. Everybody knows the budget pressure, I think, is the same in all European countries. So to give a bit of an overview, I brought you some maps. This is the current state of our 12 institutes in Germany, but this was not always this way. It used to be much more diverse, and they were located in very small villages or cities, basically following the idea of full immersion. You know, you're in the countryside, nobody speaks English there. It's perfect to learn German. Actually, a few very famous people later on learned in those places. Nowadays, that is not attractive anymore. And our most favorite 3 places for language students from abroad are, of course, Berlin, Munich, but then right after that comes Freiburg, because it's got such a lovely city and countryside around it. Here you see Europe. We just restructured the regions and created this large European region spanning into the east. And as I just mentioned, all those institutes in former Eastern Europe and Russia did not exist until the beginning of the 90s. As a footnote, Novosibirsk at the moment is closed. We are very restricted in our work there. But Moscow is still functioning on a very small level. Then we've got the other half of Europe looking like this. And back in the day, we had many more institutes in France and in Italy, and we have now reduced them. Maybe some of you heard there was quite a negative echo in the press 3 years ago when we closed 3 institutes in France and in Italy. But if you look at other parts of the world, for example, South Asia, or maybe more evident, this region, when I think we've only got Jakarta and Bandung in a country like Indonesia, maybe having 6 institutes in France, it's not a good balance. We are present in Central and East Asia, and also in North Africa. This area, of course, at the moment is under a lot of pressure. We have 3 institutes there at the moment that are not operating at all. And we hope the situation will quiet down as soon as possible. And this is our presence in Sub-Saharan Africa. You see all these empty spots on the map. It's a very challenging region to expand into and really have houses and presences, but we try to cover all African countries from the places where we do have an institute. North America, that's another, maybe the interesting factor on North America at the moment is that in the States, we have completely shut down all in-person courses and it switched totally to online only. And kind of brought our marketing forces together in one place and only have like one education program. And our presence in South America is very old and very stable till this day. maybe one question. Does anybody know which was the first Goethe-Institut outside of Germany?
Inside.
Hmm?
What side?
No, it was... And then anybody else?
Yeah. Turkey, right?
No? Athens. Yes, Athens was the first one. But you're right, Buenos Aires very short after. So now it's not just the Goethe-Instituts. We have 150, but there's a big network around it. We have, down here you see 121 language centers or Goethe centers that are, some are more closely, some more loosely affiliated with us. We have partner libraries and 490 examination partners worldwide.
You tell them libraries that are closing libraries?
No, we're not closing libraries currently.
Good.
As of 2025, we have 267,000 course participants and over 1.1 million examinations. I will just shortly say a bit about other fields of activity in language. We have like two halves of activities in language. One is that we deliver... Why is this doing it by itself? We deliver language exams and classes, but we also foster the language in the national educational systems. So we do teacher trainings, and we do we provide programs to motivate children or young people to learn German. We also work with educational institutions like ministries of education to encourage them to really put German into local curricula. It's a very wide range of activities. Now, since a few years, very much also focused on the topic of skilled workers migration, of course. We have a couple of very large programs in this field, but it's also a very challenging field. Then we've got many materials and programs that support teachers in their teaching. We have the Deutsch Lernen, which probably a lot of you know, which is our main tool for educating teachers to become good German teachers, even if they've already studied to be German teachers at universities, but also people who just come in from the side and decide to make a career change using this material. This is a website where you can download for free various materials that teachers can use in the classroom, the Deutschstunde. And we have a lab, we call it, which is focused on AI development, how to integrate AI elements into online courses, but at the moment also we're piloting how to make that available in presence courses. That's what I already mentioned, that we really try to work very closely with governmental institutions or universities to really be able to implement German fully in school curricula, but also in university curricula, because there's so many countries in which this is absolutely not the case or doesn't exist at all. There's some countries in Africa where there's not even one single university with German, so it's hard recruiting teachers. Yeah. Okay, so is there any way you can stop this from turning automatically? No? This is the next two slides show some numbers, which from our perspective is very interesting. Actually, now it's not so bad to go back and forth because you can see the difference. The number of course participants is quite stable. Of course, we've got the Corona dip there in the middle. But if you look at the language exams, on the other side, it's the non-stop increase of participants. This is not only due to the fact that more and more people want to come here, it's because more and more unqualified people try to take the exam and just, register for A2, B1, and B2 at the same time and just take all three and see if one of them goes. So that's what's happening there. And it's very, very challenging for us in terms of, for example, in India and Vietnam, we're faced with massive bot attacks. We can kind of maybe compare it to a Taylor Swift concert ticket sale. It's the same thing happening here. It's very challenging, very IT focused. Yeah. The overview of our exams, I don't think I need to really say much about that, thinking that most of you know our tableau. And we did a bit of research in the history of where it all started, and I brought you these original screenshots from our yearbook 1961, where it says that in March 1961, the University of Munich recognized that the Goethe-Institut exam, Grundstufe 2, is sufficient to be enrolled into a German university. So this is a very magic moment in time. Yeah, and 2 years later, it's a bit small, but 2 years later, it was already 1,200 participants who took that exam. And in 1975, we had also introduced the kleines deutsches Sprachdiplom, and with that, we have 15,000 people taking exams, and today we are at over 1.1 million. We have digital exams, and we have a lot of visions of how we can integrate AI into the development and performance of exams. Of course, some very far idea of remote proctored exams maybe one day, but it's a very dynamic field, and I'm very grateful to be part of this adventure with my team, who I'd like to thank for organizing all of this. And I think we'll stop here. Yep, we'll stop here. It's 5 minutes left, and I will only use 2. Just want to tell a little personal story about what exams mean. I was very lucky to be able to grow up in different countries. I went to America when I was 2 and went to an American kindergarten and learned the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Came back to Germany when I was 6, forgot all my English, then was bad in English in 5th and 6th grade, then moved to Japan, went to an international school, which was taught in English, and never, ever took an English exam. So I have no proof of my proficiency. You'll be the judge what it is. But it triggered this whole history triggered my interest in foreign countries. And so I went ahead and did something really crazy and started studying Chinese in university. And there something happened. I had what we heard today from Leah, an agency. I really, really did it. And in May 2000, passed the official Hanyu Shui Ping Kaoshi, which at the level that is actually one level above what is necessary to study a Chinese degree at a Chinese university. And I'm really proud of that until this day. And it's really interesting to not have that in English, kind of thinking, hey, I need that. Why don't I have that? But with Chinese, I have it, and I'm proud of it. And I think, yeah, that's what I wanted to share as a positive note for the evening. You have a good time. Thank you very much.